Hey everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to a special review for the brand new Neil Young album, Toast. Although I might say old album because we're talking about something that was recorded over 20 years ago, back in 2001. So even though this is just coming out on Friday, July 8th of 2022, we have ourselves a lost album here that is finally seeing the light of day. I'll break it all down in just a bit here, but before we do, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this with the brand new Neil Young album, Toast. And so Neil, he's had a very extensive career dating all the way back to 1966 with Buffalo Springfield. And so he's now been a professional musician for 56 long years. I mean, he was performing before that, but as a professional musician, over 50 years. And throughout all of his incarnations, he's now released 47 solo albums and 3 albums each with Buffalo Springfield and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, making a total of 53 studio albums that he has released. I mean, many more live albums and other things along with that, compilations and whatnot, but 53 unique studio albums. And so even as impressive as that sounds, there are a number of shelved albums from throughout his career that have never seen the light of day. However, recently Neil has been digging back in to his archives, dusting these, sort of lost classics off and releasing them. Toast is one of those such albums. And so, as I mentioned previously, it was recorded in 2001 and is now over 2 decades old, yet to me, this album sounds as fresh today as it did when it was recorded 20 years ago. The album's name itself is taken from the studio for which it was recorded in, and this one here features 7 tracks on it. It's got several shorter tracks on it, but also some nice longer jam style songs that are on here. And the cool thing is, this is a fully fleshed out album with really good sound. These are not demos. This is an album that was ready to go that in the end, Neil just decided not to release. He was having some marital issues at the time, and according to Neil, the album itself was just too sad to release, and at least the format that it had been recorded in here. And so he simply moved on to the next project, which is the album Are You Passionate from 2002. So at the time though, I had remember wondering why it was that we hadn't heard anything from Crazy Horse in a while. Usually, he's got every few albums Crazy Horse has their input on, and it seems like every few years we get a Crazy Horse, or at least up till recently. It has been a lot longer in the last so many years, but throughout the early part of his career and then into the 80s, 90s, we were getting Crazy Horse albums every few years. So it would be that this album here had been recorded. I just didn't know it at the time. It was sitting on a shelf somewhere collecting dust. And so looking back now though, I think this album would easily have fit nicely between 2000 Silver and Gold, which is a great album. It's a solo acoustic album. And then of course what we talked about, Are You Passionate from 2002. That one there featuring Booker T and the MGs, but it had a more R&B flavor to it with a lot of smoky ballads on it. So you had 2 more very somber style albums, and we really could have used a Crazy Horse album right in the middle of it. So now we've got that album. We can look back and we can, slide it into our collection in that regard. And both Silver and Gold and Are You Passionate are great albums in my mind. But Toast, and while it does have somber lyrics and things of that nature on it, the album itself rocks. And it's got the horse just in fine fashion. I can't say anything more about it than that. They sound really great on here. As I mentioned, it's got good sound. These are not demo recordings, etc. 4 of the songs on Toast would eventually turn up on Are You Passionate? Quit, How You Doing, which was later retitled as Mr. Disappointment, Going Home, and then Boom, 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 which was reworked into the song She's a Healer, but it's far less jazzy on Toast than would later turn up on the Are You Passionate version. And then 3 of the songs on here are completely unreleased. They didn't turn up on later releases or get reworked or anything of that nature. Standing in the Light of Love, which was the first single off of this, and if you heard that and you like that song, you're going to like these other 3 on here as well. The other ones being Timberline and Gateway of Love. And so in my opinion, these are the best tracks on the album, but you know, perhaps it's because they're new to me and they're not ones that I had heard previously or versions of that would later turn up on Are You Passionate. But let's focus on those 3 unreleased songs here. So track number 2, Standing in the Light of Love, as I mentioned, that was released as a single. Maybe you've checked that one out. If not, go check it out. It's a great one. It's a big rocker on here, only the way that Crazy Horse can deliver, in my opinion. It's raw and full of that fuzz tone sound that we love from the band. And then we've got track 4, Timberline. This one here is another hard rockin' song on here, but it's got Neil Young telling a story, and Neil tells the best stories in my opinion. He's a great lyricist, and this one's about a logger who's lost his job and lost his faith, and it's just great listening along with Neil tell this great story on here. And track 5, Gateway of Love. This one here is a mellow rocker, but it's got all the hallmarks of a classic song, clocking in at over 10 minutes. This is one of those more jam-oriented songs. And this one here doesn't disappoint in my opinion, and it's my favorite of these 3 unreleased songs on here. So let's take a look at this thing. Here's the cover of this. Don't know if that's actually the studio itself, Toast, where it was recorded, or just a cool cover here, but that's the front of it. Very much like it and like the lettering and how it's done. There's the back side, very sort of plain, but it's got the track listing. And we open it up there. We get a little info about you know, who recorded it and what, and of course a picture of Neil. Not sure why his eyes are blacked out there, but something a little different. And then we've got the album itself right there. And over here, we've got the booklet, so to speak. And it just unfolds like this. Nothing much to it. It's got lyrics on it. It's in the same gray tone as the album, but nothing much else besides that. Neil hasn't been too much for including any specialty type stuff within his releases. For him, it is all about the music, and rightly so. I mean, it's good music and whatnot, so I'm okay with that. Bottom line on this album here, that you know, while 4 of the 7 songs itself would later on turn up on Are You Passionate, I think the original versions that are on Toast are the far superior versions of these songs. They're more immediate and have more feeling for me on it. Maybe it's also just knowing what he was going on with, you know, at the time, recording it and so forth, but I seem to feel more along with these than the ones that would later turn up on the more pristine Are You Passionate. But in the end of the day, it is those 3 unreleased songs that are on here that are the best tracks, calling into question, 1, why this album was never released, aside from Neil not feeling he wanted to release a sad album, but also why these 3 unreleased songs never got recorded for something else, as I think they are the superior tracks that are on here. And so with over 47 solo albums to his name now, you know, it is really hard to say what is considered essential Neil Young listening. But I think for fans of, like me, you know, of the 90s era and into the 2000s, this here is a Neil Young classic. Should be part of anyone's collection who loves Neil Young, and I would highly recommend this for all Neil Young fans. And so there you go. This has been the review for the brand new or old Neil Young Toast album. For related videos, I did one of another lost album that you might be interested in, Homegrown, which was originally recorded back in 74 and 75 and only got a release just a year or so ago, so it's not been out that long, and he's been doing this. And so I've done that. Leave a link in the description for you, but also you can see behind me there the Neil Young Archives Volume 2 box, and I have fully reviewed and unboxed that and everything of sorts. So if you're a fan of box sets and that sort of stuff, and you want to really know what is contained within that box, because there's a lot of unreleased gems. And as I said, Neil's been going through his archives, cleaning house and getting this stuff out. I hope we get some more lost archive albums, and of course some more archive box sets like those. Certainly tune in for that. Again, I'll leave a link in the description for that. And certainly if you've enjoyed this video, consider sharing it out on social media. Help spread the word both for my channel, but also for Neil Young. Help get the word out there about this great lost album that is finally seeing the light of day. Can't say enough great stuff about it. I really, really do like this album, and I think you guys will too. All right, everyone, take care, have a great day, and I'll be talking to you all real soon. Bye-bye.